Hey you, come, gather around the campfire, and welcome to the party. This is Party Chat, a JRPG podcast where we talk about everything that we love in the world of JRPGs and other Eastern titles. I am one of your hosts, Cameron Hawkins, and with me, as always, is my party partner, Kevin Kenson. Kevin, how are we doing this week?
I am doing pretty good today. Just getting ready for all the hectic times ahead right now this week, trying to get some foundation stuff done. A lot of scheduling and planning. It's just it's getting to be go time very soon.
So, for the listeners at home that don't has never watched any video versions of this podcast, maybe don't know what we look like, yada yada yada. We are both biracial people.
Where's this go? Oh wait, are you talking about?
And let me tell you, over the past like 48 hours, I've come to learn some lore apparently about white people. This is not political in any sense, y'all.
But it is serious. No.
But it is serious. Uh where I came across this TikTok where this random guy, it's literally just all you see is like this guy opening a box of Panda Express crab rangoons. And it's just like, and he's opening it like he has no control over himself in a very unique way. I can't explain it. Uh, it- and then it like he pans the camera to his face barely, and he does this like feral roar, and that's all the video is. And I'm just like, do do white people like have this thing with crab rangoons? And because I look in the comments, and at the time of when I initially saw the video, it was a bunch of people that seemingly were white by their profiles that were all like, "Oh, this is reasonable. This is a reasonable reaction to this." And I'm like, "Okay." And so then I start asking all my white friends, like, "Hey, do y'all go feral over some crab rangoons?" And everyone was basically just like, "Yeah." And I'm just like, this is news to me, right? Because first off, you know, to be clear, we're both part white, but it's like, but also on for me specifically, I'm not a seafood guy,
Mm.
so that
Well,
like kind of puts me out of
well,
the
well, that's the
picture anyway.
that's the thing though. The love of crab rangoons has nothing to do with seafood because a lot of places don't even actually put crab in it anymore. A lot of like fast food
Mm,
Chinese places, it's literally cream cheese wontons. Like there might be a strip of like crab at the
mm,
bottom. There you can go to legit places where you are going to get a healthy bit of crab, but I feel like most of the time when especially like what we're talking about right now, it's like, "Oh, you like cream cheese in like pastry dough." Okay. Like in a wonton dough.
okay. Uh, Interesting. That's very interesting. But yeah, I was just like, this, and in reality, this is all just very much a joke. But
Yeah.
still, it was just like a funny thing where it's like, wait, because
Well,
the way I saw the video too was because one of my white friends retweeted it. So like, there's a theme here. There's an ongoing theme here.
I thought it was funny because when because one of our mutuals Jesse posted about it being like how important are crab rangoons to when you order Chinese food, and to me I was like, I guess I order some. I don't really think about it that hard, but I know Christine always wants them, and Christine is white, so it's just like it was like a funny thing to me. We're like, oh, my wife like has to have these as part of the meal. We'll always order them when it's an option. Where I'm like, yeah, that's cool. We could also get some spring rolls, or we could get like it's tough too because I think it's a regional thing a little bit too. Because like when I also read Chinese food, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of Americanized ones out where I am that I could go to, but I also live near neighborhoods where like I can get Chinese food, like really legit
Yeah.
stuff. And
Hmm.
so my brain's like, oh, I want to get like scallion pancakes and I want to get some, cumin lamb and stuff. And I'm just like, it's a different experience too. So I don't always like immediately think cream cheese wonton when I think Chinese food.
Yeah. I'm. It's not in my mind either. But it was just something like, huh. I think I learned something today. Um, but anyway, we're gonna get into the news for this week, but before we do that, we're gonna get into some housekeeping. If you've been enjoying the podcast, please give us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. And please go over to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Party Chat, a JRPG podcast. Give us a thumbs up on the video. Give us a comment, telling us good job or like what have you. And it really helps with exposure and getting our name out there. We do have like some PAX East coverage that should be coming throughout the next week. So like before like the next episode, we should get some y'all might be getting some extra bonuses while I'm in Boston attending PAX East and doing getting some cool opportunities. Um and then also, if you want to support us on Patreon, if you want to throw a couple of bucks our way, we have a few tiers that give you different rewards, whether it be getting the episode a day early, getting access to our monthly Q&A, which we just recorded our monthly Q&A for April yesterday, as well as Campfire Catalog, our book club podcast, which the upcoming episode is going to be on Legend of Dragoon. And lastly, go to youtube.com. I completely fucked up that. Go to youtube.com/Kevin Kenson and go give him hit the subscribe button over there so we can get him over to 1 million subscribers before the end of 2025. So there's been like some really weird news this week, and this is probably like if we just put like all of the news we talked about in a single episode next to each other, I think this week might be like the weirdest culmination
It is a
of
weird week.
news.
There's some weird stuff. There's some good stuff in here too, but some weird stuff.
Yeah. The first being that, hey, you might have heard that there is a Chrono Trigger remake confirmed by Yuji Horii. That
Nope.
is not true. That has been officially debunked. So what happened was that Yuji Horii was on like some sort of panel at a con in Naples. And there was like this whole weird translation error by the translator, making people think that Yuji Horii slipped up that there was a Chrono Trigger remake in the works. And on paper and on video, if you don't know Japanese, it very much reads that way. But then over time, like people were just like, no, this was totally on the translator. Yuji Horii did not say that. He actually covered it because he covered his mouth. And that was like the sign that made people think that he messed up. But no, he covered his mouth because he realizes that there was a
Mix up.
miscommunication.
Yep.
And that is not happening, in fact. And so, which is really funny.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Which, like, who knows what Square's actually working on? That certainly doesn't, discount any potential projects we hope could be in the works. But
Sure.
this is
Of course.
definitely not a slip up of officially this is happening or something. A lot of people ran with the news. I felt so bad because, like, I definitely know a lot of people both in the kind of content creator space and in traditional press and news space, all just rushing to get stuff posted, right? News articles left and right, people making videos and putting them up, shorts, all that kind of stuff. And then I want to say it was 4 hours later was when the additional like clarification came out finally, because like it was drip feed, right? Like it all started with people who were there posting on Reddit, and then eventually video recordings of it went up, but not all video recordings were like the full thing, so it was hard to get what exact context. And then finally there was a clip that was like long enough and you could hear Yuji Horii clear enough that people who could translate Japanese were like, yeah, no, he didn't say that. He did
Yeah.
not say anything about Chrono Trigger. Because like the other thing that also drove it home was the translator at one point after the miscommunication basically goes to the audience, you didn't hear anything. Like that was his address, and the audience lost their minds because they took that as like a hey, nudge nudge wink wink, you didn't hear
Yeah.
us say that. And it's like, no, you really didn't hear me say that because that is not what Yuji Horii said, and like please do not run with this. Like that guy probably did not have a great day after that. Like that is
Yeah. I was just like,
that's a
yeah.
very that's a rough translation situation. Like
Like, yeah, no, it's one of those things like you have one job and you kind of drop the ball a bit.
Yeah, not only was it an
Um,
incorrect sentence, but it created a news cycle for something that is not, maybe is happening, but not certainly not being confirmed this way.
yeah, yeah, but just wanted to clear the air in case you didn't hear that it was debunked for some reason, that is not happening. And it was yeah, it was really funny to see immediately people being like, "Oh, I hope the remake looks like this, and it does this, and it does this," and it's just like, oh, modern day like Final Fantasy VII like execution type
Yeah,
stuff, and it's just like,
HD2D versus like do a
yeah,
more
yeah,
animation style, maybe something like Visions of Mana, like just all over the place.
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe someday,
someday.
as I pull the magic conch. Oh, you wouldn't get that because that's a SpongeBob reference.
I think I have heard that particular reference, but
Oh, the magic conch shell.
I do not feel a connection to that reference, but I do know of it.
Oh yeah, it's. Do I want to go down the lore path? I do. No, but basically, it's a episode where SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward are like lost in the woods in the forests, and all they have is a magic conch shell, and they talk to the magic conch shell, and it basically like grants their wishes,
Mhm.
more or less. But Squidward is like, he's Squidward, so he's like, nah, this is stupid. And then it gets to the point where like SpongeBob and Patrick are like literally getting like food falling out of the sky. It's really funny. And then he's just like, can I have something to eat? And she's just like, and the conch shell's like, no. Can I get something to eat? No. Can I get something to eat? No. And just like over and over again.
Wow.
It's really funny. Anyway, uh, next story that we have here is in regards to Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah, left field. This is a surprise one.
Yeah, so Echo the Dolphin and Echo the Tides of Time remasters have been announced alongside the announcement of a third Echo game. Um, yeah,
For those unfamiliar with this title, like Cam, have you ever played an Echo game? Do you know like the actual what this
no.
is? So these were games that I want to say were originally Game Gear titles. Maybe it was on Genesis. I forget. Game Gear was where I played it originally. Um, you play as a dolphin and you swim around and like you kind of explore the ocean, you do stuff, and then it very slowly turns into a horrifying experience where you're fighting and escaping from aliens in the deep abyss. It's a very strange game. And if I'm being real, not one I ever found particularly fun. Like, I feel like this game has a reputation, and like, there's always like, oh man, like Echo the Dolphin, haha. And here we are, getting a new way to play it and a sequel all at once.
And
I
this is a Sega property, right?
this is I believe it is a first party Sega IP. Yeah.
That's crazy that we're getting this, but we're not getting a remaster of Skies of Arcadia. Like, say what you will about your RPGs being niche. This is crazy. Like, this is crazy knowing that this is happening and they greenlit a third game, but we can't get a remaster or a port of Skies of Arcadia. But anyway, yeah, so the announcement was confirmed in an Xbox Wire interview. The series creator, Ed Annunziata, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, uh, made a statement saying, "quote Me and the entire original team are going to remaster the original Echo the Dolphin and Tides of Time games. Then we will make a new third game with contemporary play and GPU sensibilities." And then on EchoTheDolphin.com, the website features a countdown that ends at April 25th, 2026 at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
That's
Which
an advanced timer right there.
that is a way to announce some games,
I mean,
that's for sure.
that's also a confident timer. Like to be like, hey, this far in the future, yeah, this is happening. Like that's confidence right there to just be counting down that long. You're like, oh, yeah. At no point is this getting adjusted.
Yeah, they're putting their stamp on it, that's for sure. Um, I love how my internet just decides to not load Windows right when we're talking about news. Uh, but I do remember the next story. Basically, uh, it's been confirmed that Hundred Line is currently has no plans to release the game on additional platforms.
Yes.
Um, so, which it seems like Hundred Line is doing pretty well based off of like the numbers we've seen, just based off of like what we can figure out, like with like Steam charts and things like that. which is good to know. But Kodaka said recently that like we're not planning to do anything else, just the Switch and Steam. And kind of like we reported before, they are basically putting their whole livelihoods in this game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So,
hopefully it works out for them.
yeah, some quick context too about like just them clarifying that, or Kodaka specifically. Um, there was talk of like, hey, like if 100 line does well enough, like what, are you guys gonna like expand this in any way? Are you going to do more translations or port more? And initially Kodaka was like, yeah, like we want to do more stuff, like, if it makes more money. And then afterwards clarified like, I'm talking about localizations. I want to bring it to more languages. We're not planning on going to any other platforms. That is probably not going to happen. And I know part of the reason why a lot of people kind of badger him a little bit about this is because there was a similar situation with a previous game called Raincode, where it was initially pitched as like, yeah, this is like Switch. This is just a Switch thing. And then it came out later on PlayStation with like more content and it was like the bigger, better, more complete way to play. And a lot of people were
Yeah.
very unhappy about, because it's one thing to have a re-release like that happen. It's another thing to be told that's not going to happen. And then it happens. Like you're kind of promised like this is an exclusive version of something, and then suddenly, oh, do you want to buy it again with more stuff to get the complete thing?
Yeah.
So that it sounds like there's kind of a bit of a promise of like we're not doing that again with 100 line. This is just on Switch. This is the version. It's also on PC, but like those are the places to play it. We're not going anywhere else. Please buy this game so we can survive as a studio.
Yeah. And that, fans understandably upset about that.
Yeah.
Fans understandably upset about that. Like that's like if Kingdom Hearts Final Mix for some reason was announced and it was coming to a different platform than the PS2 when it originally announced. That'd be wild.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, and like we're
So
used to some devs doing it, like Atlas with freaking SMT and Persona games. Like it's just like the
yeah,
countdown starts. I'm waiting for Metaphor re Fantasio or something. Like,
I genuinely I think I said this on the podcast before, but like I think that if there is a re-release of Metaphor ReFantasio, I think this is like the first re-release where like I don't feel inclined to like play and see what the new content is, see what the
yeah,
new stuff
I mean, it
is.
would depend on what they show, right? Like what the promise is of what it does. But I agree. Like it's tough to keep that cycle going. I mean, I mean, it was a remake, so who knows? But like Reload isn't going to do that so far. It seems so. Yeah,
Yeah, and see Reload I want them to do it because I want
you want
I
Fensky.
want them. Yeah. Yeah, I want it. I still think that that was a mistake. I understand like why they didn't do it because like of how much extra time it would have take to
Right.
make the game.
Yeah, I mean,
But I
recording a whole other audio track of a protagonist and new scenes and all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah, but I still am not happy about it. Honestly, I would what would have been ballsy, which they wouldn't do, is that they released Reload and it was just the FemMC. They just
like a
did the
standalone
FemMC.
version. It's like a Pokemon version. Like, just pick the one you want.
No, well, no. It was just like they just didn't do the male protagonist.
Ah,
They just did the female MC.
right.
Um, which yeah, that would never happen, but would have been cool. Um, alrighty. Next story. Kevin, you like Elden Ring.
I do like Elden Ring.
So it's been confirmed by Famitsu that Elden Ring Tarnished Edition for Switch 2 is going to come with two new character classes, a new Spirit Seed appearances, and new armor, weapons, and combat skills. And there will also be this whole like kind of new content will be added as a DLC for other platforms.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that as the resident Souls like?
I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm curious what they define as low price because it is going to be a paid for DLC for those other platforms. Um, could be $5, could be 10. I don't know, and we'll see what the full list is. But like, new weapons, new armor, that stuff's cool. I am curious if Switch is going to get any exclusive stuff because that has been a thing in the past with some third parties. Where like, for instance, Skyrim had the Legend of Zelda items on the Switch. The Spirit Steed thing is cool because that's like an entirely new thing. It's not just like new appearance options. It's like you can change the appearance of your steed. That was not present in base game, as far as I recall. So that is cool. Character classes are neat. It's kind of a it's like handy, but the way Souls likes, or at least the way that FromSoft does Dark Souls and Elden Ring, it's a little bit of a moot point because it's mostly just like what you start with, and eventually you're able to recorrect your build a different way, or you're going to swap out your gear. But it's just how you start off. One thing we don't have uh, full confirmation of what like the localized name of the classes are going to be or how the classes handle, but there was a presentation that showed like their like picture as well as the name in Japanese, which the direct translations are roughly Knight of Ides and Heavily Armored Knight. So they're both knight style classes. They're both wearing heavy armor. The Heavily Armored Knight is wearing like really big heavy stuff with a huge two-hander weapon. We don't that might not be the actual official localized name once we get a real translation, from them directly. But that's at least the general pitch we're seeing right now.
Now, is this something that is gonna get you back in? That's like, okay, I got to do another run of Elden Ring, or
Uh,
how
I
are you feeling about
probably
that?
I'm probably not going to dive in immediately. Like I feel like I'm going to end up checking it out because I actually never got around to finishing the DLC. I need to do that still. So there's definitely a part of me that's sort of like, oh, maybe with Switch 2, I pick up that version to check out, and then this is also my excuse to like do a fresh playthrough and really do like all the content all the way through this time. Because like when the expansion came out, I started it and like did a dent in it, and then I think it was just like there was other stuff coming out, other things I was trying to keep up with and talk about that I just didn't get around to finishing it. Um, and part of me kind of wants a fresh start. So yeah, I'll probably check it out. I don't know if I'm going to do it right at launch, but like I'm absolutely going to engage with this at some point. Which that's not the
Cool.
only Elden Ring news that we got something breaking literally as we like started getting ready to record this today.
Well, here's the thing though.
Uh-huh.
We'll talk about it, but I do have an update regarding that.
Oh, okay. Is that was that not correct news?
I don't know. The answer is we don't know.
Interesting.
So basically, a website called Nexus Point News, which to be clear, I'm not familiar with the site,
Yeah, same.
revealed that Alex Garland is set to direct an Elden Ring film for A24. But as of current, because I was scrolling and I saw a post that made me think that I should like see if there was some sort of update on this
For
news.
sure.
That link is no longer on their site.
They pulled it?
They
Oh
pulled
yeah.
the article.
I just went to it too, and interesting. So either someone said something they weren't supposed to say yet, or
Or
it's
it's
like
bullshit.
entirely wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
like they
Yeah,
like got some source that was completely off. Interesting.
exactly. And that's why I was just like, well,
Yeah,
because this news broke within the hour of us recording
yeah.
this
From a
podcast,
website
so
that
this is
like
very very fresh.
yeah, interesting. That is pretty funny. Huh. All right. Well, we'll leave that at that for now then.
Yeah, but like let me hear your thoughts if this does end up being reality. What are your thoughts on this?
Look, I'm usually I lean towards skepticism on movie
Huh?
adaptations of games. Um, that said, I feel like A24 is kind of an odd fit in a good way for something like this. Like
Hmm.
I feel like if someone was going to make an Elden Ring or Souls like thing and go more for like a weird artistry approach with it, A24 would be like the company involved for it. Alex Garland feels like a very interesting, strange choice if that's a real thing. Like I like his work, but I don't see the exact cross section there. uh, yeah, it's if this is real, it's very bizarre. I don't know how actually excited I would be for it. I would definitely need to see a trailer or something to kind of get a better idea of like what are you actually going for here? Because that's one of those things too. Is like, what is an Elden Ring movie? Like,
Yeah.
what do you do in 2 hours? What are you trying to cover? What are you trying to portray? Like, what is that? Like, what is that actual framework and storyline you're doing? Um, because
Yeah.
it's not quite as simple of a direct narrative that you could do with like how Last of Us became a show. Like I feel like that translates like I can see Last of Us as a show. I don't know if I see Elden Ring as a movie. At least if you're trying to do a direct adaptation.
Sure. No, I agree with that. I don't know what any sort of Souls-like media that isn't a game looks looks
Yeah.
like, to be honest.
Well, so much of the storytelling is
Um,
lore and background. Like it's reading
yeah.
item descriptions. There's not most of the present happening storyline is you found the guy you have to now kill, and you'll piece together later what that meant.
Yeah. I don't see the vision. I don't see the vision personally.
Yeah,
Like I think that we're talking about this briefly before the podcast. Like I think that a Death Stranding film at A24 makes a lot of sense. I think with A24, I think the more likelihood of that happening is just that Alex Garland has a good relationship with A24, and he probably hit them up first, being like, "Hey, I want to make this Elden Ring film. Do y'all want to be the ones to distribute this?" Because because they did, if I remember correctly, they did Ex Machina, they did
yep.
Men, they did Annihilation. Like they've done like I think all of his, more or less all of his films since 2014. Like
And really,
even
that's
his
when he became much more relevant. Like his breakout was all
yeah.
within them. Yeah,
Yeah, it was Ex Machina. Well, people love 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks
sure.
Later.
But that was him as a
Oh,
writer, right? I think Ex Machina was his debut as a director.
um, yes, you're correct. He wrote those films. Um, but yeah, and then he's doing 28 Years Later, like later this year. But that I don't believe that's not gonna be A24 because that's already an existing IP.
Right.
But yeah, like the point I'm trying to make is that like all of his original stuff is basically done exclusively through A24 at this point. And so like it makes sense that that's going to be the way that they go about it. And that's a big W for A24. It's like, oh, like Alex Garland is like working on one of the biggest video game IPs in gaming right now. Yeah, we want to do that.
Yeah. If
Um,
it's real, I'm very curious now. Like that's so interesting they pulled it because that can mean a couple different things, but I'm leaning towards it into being like bad sourcing or like getting like maybe partially true, but details are incorrect, right? Like different person or different. I don't know. We'll see. It is
yeah, and
interesting
I
how
will say
quickly
like
they pulled it.
yeah, the one thing I do want to say as someone who does really like Alex Garland, I do think that like I think he is actually a pretty good pick for an Elden Ring film simply because like I think that he's done very like not in the complete one for one, but he's done like these really like weird films that where you're kind of questioning things as you're going along like throughout the movie. And again, not a complete one for like how Souls likes are, but just like that kind of level of curiosity when you're exploring a world. I think he does that really well in Annihilation. Um, and he's like done like kind of similar themes in like other movies, like Men.
Mhm.
So I actually think Alex Garland is not I think he's actually a pretty solid pick. I just think that like A24 being the being the distributor mainly because like oh they have a pre-existing relationship is like okay I guess like I don't think that this like fits under that for me. I think like more maybe like of a Legendary Pictures
I
or
yeah.
like
I think it depends on what direction they take with it, right? Like I think Legendary makes a
sure.
lot of sense if they want to go very like direct surface level with it. If they want to be very like this is a fantasy dark movie where we're going to give the protagonist a name and like there's going to be a traditional story arc. I see A24 working if they go with like a little more dreamy weird approach with it. Like leaning into the
Mhm.
strangeness of Elden Ring as a setting. Because I just think back to things like Green Knight, where it's like, yeah, there is a story here, and like there are events that happen, but it's also just a lot of like melancholy moments and landscape shots, and like tone and vibe is such a larger part that I could see if Elden Ring was taking more that route, how it would make sense with them.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if we get an update. We'll try and keep an eye out while we're recording to see if we can get like a small update. But
Weird.
We'll see. But yeah. Uh and just a little small thing that's worth updating y'all. The Elden Ring Clair Obscure has hit 2 million, 20, holy shit, 2
How you
million
doing, buddy?
copies sold. Last week we shared that it was at 1 million, so they did another million in a week, which is super impressive. You know, most, if not all, that isn't like Final Fantasy or like a Square Enix property, uh, getting 2 million sold this quickly or at all is considered a major success. So, congrats to the team at Sandfall for that. And speaking of Expedition 33, we've been playing more of it for what
Yep,
we've been
three
playing
weeks
this
in a
week.
row. Talking expedition.
Yeah, Kevin, you have passed me at this point,
Yes.
so I would love for you to like give me your thoughts, as you've like now gotten into the thick of it.
Yeah, so I finished Act Two of three acts. Although I get the feeling the third act is both shorter and longer. Like I think it's one of those things where it's like it if I just want to finish the story, it's not going to take very long. But now there's also like optional stuff I can start really engaging with. Um, oh man, there is so much I want to talk about that I can't right now. Like the stuff that we should probably save for like a proper spoiler cast or something. But there's definitely some major like I feel like the real main climactic plot dump of the game is end of Act Two. Like that's a pretty big point. Um, and it's interesting. I know a couple people who are less enthusiastic about the direction it goes. I know a few people who absolutely adore the direction it goes. I'm still kind of like sitting with it and chewing on it a little bit, but I think I lean towards really liking this decision. Like I like in the moment I was really into it, and as I sit with it, I'm like, yeah, no, like this is cool. Less spoilery plot side of things, but just like a raw gameplay side of things. I'm having a ton of fun with it. I'm very stubborn and refuse to dodge and only do parries, which is probably giving me a few more headaches than I need for some boss fights. But
I'm the same way.
once I
I
get it,
haven't.
well, it's really funny because I think the devs have even talked about like, yeah, like remember, like you can use dodge to learn the timing, and then once you're like perfect dodging really often, now you know the timing for doing like a parry. So like there you go, like that's how you learn. And I know so many people who are like, yeah, I'm not hitting dodge once, I'm just focusing on parry timing from the get go. That's what I'm gonna do. Which for some of those bosses is headache inducing. Uh, I will say the one thing I think this game does very well and appeal to certain mindset builds. Like now that I've begun figuring out certain like skill loadouts for certain characters and combining those with certain Picto and uh, Lumina out like just like outfitting the right combo of things to play into certain play styles. Because like for a while, Lune was a character where I was like, I just don't know what I'm doing with her. Like the stains are kind of like I get how stains work, but I'm just not seeing a way that like works for me. And now I've like cracked a code for her where I'm like, oh, I have these three moves set up that I'm now just doing as a combo repeatedly, like ad infinity, doing crazy amounts of damage. And I'm sure I'm not doing nearly as much damage as I can eventually do because I've been seeing the numbers people have been posting for their max damage in the post game, and it is exponential how much it goes up. You're like right now I'm happy if I deal 50,000 damage. I'm seeing people be like, well, here's me doing 21 million. just just wild stuff. I yeah, I'm really eating it up though. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. How about you? I know you're about halfway through Act Two, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm about halfway through Act Two. I do. I have. Oh, okay. I'm still like in the testing phases of it, but I think I have swapped out Lune, for the fifth party member that you get.
Hmm.
Um, because I think their like whole shtick is really cool.
Hmm.
And I don't, and I just kind of want to see how that works. Like
Right.
it feels like just like all of their ability. First off, like the general abilities that they start out with are like, oh, these are super useful from the get go. And then like the whole idea of like how they get new skills. They don't get new skills by leveling up and getting skill points.
Yeah.
They get it a different way. And I'm like, I love this. I love this idea. And I want this person in my party. But I am not going to get rid of the other two members of my party because they're like the main characters, and also
Right.
like they just have they are just kind of the best characters for me, and like but again, like Lune was basically there because she was like the healing person for me, and she wasn't doing a whole lot of anything else. um Now, I do have a question for you.
Hmm.
Because so for those that don't know, the weapons are assigned to like to certain stats, and I'm wondering for you, like, do you really see those like putting points in those stats versus like putting points into might, like really like changing the damage output for you? Because like
Truth.
you're talking because you're talking about like Lune, right?
Right.
And like she doesn't do jack shit damage wise for me, and I've been like putting my points in on on like mostly on the stats that like are like, hey, this is a B, this is a C, and like
Yeah.
and been upgrading her weapon accordingly, and it's like she doesn't really do a whole lot of damage.
Yeah. I think generally speaking, the move you're using specifically matters a lot more than the numbers going into it. Like there's a certain base
Hmm.
damage for certain techniques where it's just like, oh, that's the move that deals damage. And having the right skill, the right stat loadout and everything will contribute to that and it'll help push it like even farther. But I think the most important thing for a lot of characters is just like figuring out the move kit more so. Like I had the same thing with the fourth party member, where
Oh yeah,
initially like they had a lot of utility. There was a lot of like setup stuff they could do that I find really useful, but they weren't really bringing the damage. Like CL was my damage dealer right off the bat. CL was like who I actually was like wrecking stuff with. Um, but other characters I definitely needed to like crack the code a bit and like figure out like how like I think I just accidentally figured out CL's playstyle right away. Like it just clicked very naturally for me of like how to use her efficiently. And everyone else took a bit of like how do I get to the point of being able to use my like high cost AP moves that deal crazy damage. Like that ends up being I think more important. And then uh being able to just like dial in your stats. I will say I haven't experimented much with like min maxing my stats. For the most part, once I figured out a weapon for someone that I liked, I leaned into those stats to make sure they kept growing. But then I still kind of diversified points a little bit because it's like, well, I don't need my L to be this glass cannony. Let's give her some defense health. Agility is important. I need people to act regularly. So even if it's not a lead stat, I'm going to make sure they have some agility to act
yeah,
regularly. Um, I yeah, I haven't leaned up too hard into it. To be honest, like I said last week when we were talking about this, I think the stat system is one of the things I'm not as on board with. Like I have some general complaints about the game, and that's one of them. Like I just think it's a system that doesn't add anything for me personally to the rest of the experience. Like I think there's enough build
mhm.
stuff going on. I didn't need this one other system on top of it all.
Yeah.
Um,
It kind of just like makes me it makes me feel like that I'm not understanding like what are the key things I need to do to make my party stronger, if that makes sense. Like
sure.
am I like should I be focusing on the stats for the weapon, or should I focus on the stats that like I just care about?
Yeah,
Right? It is
I
it
feel like generally speaking, especially like I think especially during the main game, like before you get to the point of like late game like build breaking stuff, I think you just kind of put points where you want for the most part and just make sure you're not like overly neglecting any particular one that's important to that character. Like I think, you know, Lune definitely needs some defense boost, so try to get that a little higher, even if the weapon you're using doesn't have it. Make sure everyone has a healthy bit of agility. Um, I think I have more important thing to focus on as far as figuring things out is to really look at their skill trees and put a bit of time thinking into, okay, how can I assemble a move set that's going to be effective? Because that was the thing that really immediately made Lune go from like, oh, I have her around and she heals and deals some okay support damage. Burn is nice, but she's not the star of the team. And now I never ever heal because like it's too much of a priority for me to make sure her rhythm is going to just keep busting out. Basically, she has a really strong move called Elemental Genesis, and it's 8 hits of random damage, but they're all very high damage, and which elements they are random. So there's a little bit of like, hopefully you deal the one the enemy's weak to, but even if you don't, the total damage tends to be pretty sufficiently high. And I figured out a way to readily cast that spell essentially every other turn. Part of its requirements is that it has an okay AP cost, but it also requires that you have one of every elemental stain. And so I figured out a move flow where I'm just every other turn busting that thing out, and she is now my highest damage dealer currently because of it. Um, and so yeah, I think
Interesting.
skill kit and build is much more important. I think stats, like, I wouldn't stress it too hard. Maybe late game you use they have a respec item. You can use that if you want. I think once you have a better idea, but for
Yeah,
now, just like evenly distribute and don't stress too much about that. I think.
that's another thing. Is like I personally haven't come across a game where I feel like there is justification behind a limited number of respecs.
Hmm.
I think that you should either like not be able to respec or you can respec as much as you want whenever you want.
Right.
And like the idea, because like this was the first time at the point in the game where I was just like, do I need a respec? Do I need to like refigure things out? But then also another issue I have with this game, there's no manual save.
Yeah.
And so, and that really irks me. Like every RPG should have a manual save. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I did mess up one little thing that's like not important, but there was something that I was like, "Oh, damn it! I wish I hadn't have done that." And nope, no going back.
Yeah,
Which, like,
yeah,
I kind of respect it a little bit as a design choice, but it is still frustrating from a player end. Like, it's one of those things.
yeah. And so I just like don't like the idea that I want to respec like 3 or 4 characters, and then I use 7 or like 3 or 4 out of my 7 recoats that I
Yeah,
currently have.
I do
And then
think.
I find out that like, oh, this is not what I actually wanted to do, and then I wasted all those resources. Like that's
Yeah,
just like not.
I get that. I will say, like, if you pay attention to stuff, I feel like it's not too hard to get a hold of a healthy number of recoats. Like, most merchants have a couple in stock, and I think there's even some enemies that might drop them. I don't think it's like a
Oh
hard limit
yeah,
on
it's
those. It's just it is a resource you have to have on hand and think about. I kind of like that you don't have the ability to, like. I go back and forth. Yeah, like being able to freely respec is always nice. Um, but I also think for this game, it's best not to like worry too much about it. Again, for stats at least, I think like my mindset is I just kind of go with the flow unless something is really horribly not working, or I'm saving it till end game where I'm like, okay, now let's. I've made this work long enough, and now I know how the system works. Let's redial everyone in and redistribute these like hundreds of points.
yeah. It's not like a huge deal right now, but it is something that in general I find frustrations with. Um, but yeah, and because you were mentioning just like Lune, like uh, I won't go into spoilers as to like who they are or anything like that, but like yeah, Monoko is like the character that I'm using right now that I really like.
Mhm.
And yeah, and basically like his whole shtick is that if you when he has to be in your party too, which is like the other thing. But when you kill an enemy that you haven't killed before with him in the party, he basically takes a skill like from them. Like he can like transform into those
Yeah,
creatures, and then you
he's the blue
can.
mage. They wanted to do a blue mage concept from like Final Fantasy and such, and
Oh
adapt that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's really cool. There's like an RNG element where like certain skills are based off of like it's like, oh, if your like dial is on a specific mask type, then it does like the extra damage or it does like the extra duration or something like that. Um and it's really cool. And he can heal. So that's why I was just like, cool. I'm gonna get Lune out of here for now, and I like this guy a lot, and I think it really is just like I get to take the creatures' skills and use them, and it's not like through leveling up.
Yeah.
This might be my jam. This might be my
No,
jam.
I was very tempted to. I almost did that same swap because again, I just wasn't figuring Lune out, and I generally really like blue mages. Like I try to fit them in my party in most of the games where one is present. Um, but once I cracked the code for Lune, and I still have a lot of success with CL and Verso, I was just like, all right, you know, sometimes he has helped clean things up when I have to send out the reserve party, but my core group is pretty effective right now.
Yeah, and you're not wrong about CL. Like I remember, you said last episode that she is like super powerful because I used her when there's a point in the story. I'm not gonna say like what happens, but there's a point in the story where the party is split, and you have to use I finally use CL since I got her, and god damn, does
Yeah.
she do damage?
No, she
God
like,
damn.
especially when she first joins, I feel like she's balanced out a little bit now for me. Like she's not as crazy, but like when I first got her in the party and like learned her mechanic, was out damaging like she was hitting the damage limit way before everyone else. Like I had other characters being
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I can do like 3,000 damage like semi reliably, cool." CL 999 999 999 just like the damage limit back to back to back.
yeah. And see, here's the thing. Like, I'm just one of those people that like I feel like I'm one of those people that likes to play the characters that I like like as a personality more
Sure.
so than like the mechanics.
Mhm.
And I'm struggling in this game with that
Mm.
because like I don't think I don't it's like it's not even I like Male's mechanics, but like when the one time I played like a CL I'm like, "Oh, this is like so much better." Like this is just so much more damage because that was the thing that I was like struggling with Mael is that she's not doing damage even though her attack stat is higher than everyone else. For some reason, she's not doing damage. That's the thing. The thing I'm saying about what like these
Yeah.
these stats, these attributes I don't understand. I'm like,
I
Mael has the highest attack power. She is doing the least amount of damage.
yeah.
Why is that?
I
I
think
don't understand.
yeah, dude, it's skill loadout. Like you need to know what moves lead into like the actual high power damage payoffs. Like it's
But then what's the point then? Like that's
well
the thing. It's just
because like the might still makes a difference. Like it's still pushing it like even further, but like in terms of just having a good regular damage output, like I there's kind of like an unspoken combo system in this game where every character has a combo mechanic and you need to learn how to really fully exploit that flow to like get the most out of them. And like
no,
I
and like I mean, like I figured that out with Mayel. She still doesn't do a lot of damage. That's the
yeah.
thing. Is like you can go like, oh, spark. Well, now it's like spark and then like rain of fire or
Oh yeah,
whatever,
yeah. I was using
and
that
then
one
you
for a
can
bit.
just and then you can go into like the swift whatever
Yeah.
swift something or like the fleuret fury. Like those are the combos. Like that. Like I get the combos. It's just she just doesn't do damage. And like I was talking to other people, like, oh, Mail does so much damage for me. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. And
I
like
would
it's
ask
not.
those people what their skill layouts are because like there might just be a certain move that you're not utilizing right now that like those other moves help set up and lead into, but like yeah, like I just think such a large part of this game is like there are a few key moves that are your real damage payoffs, and the trick is to learn how to use those moves as often as possible by building towards them. Because that's the thing too is that everyone has ways where it's like, oh, this move does more damage if certain requirements are met. So it's like, okay, I need to use my other skill sets to lead into the perfect condition to then do the big payoff version of this move. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but yeah, I very well might switch and have CL and Bonoko as my party because like there yeah again like I just immediately use like this one ability that's like oh it applies like 5 foretold and then does like medium dark damage and she did like 6k and I'm like what the like that was like the first move that was the first move and she just did like so much damage and I just I don't know. I'm just like this is a this character's built different apparently. So I think once I get back to my next play session, which probably won't be till I get back from PAX, unfortunately. I'm gonna like hop her into the party because she's also like 3 or 4 levels behind everyone because she's been in the reserve.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But um, the combat's getting a little bit um a little bit better in that sense for me. Um, and yeah, I'm interested in seeing like where the story goes. Here's what I'll say, and I don't know if and I I know that like I don't even want to say, oh, I know it's a 30-hour JRPG because like most JRPGs are around that
Sure.
that length.
On the shorter side, yeah.
I just feel like without getting into spoilers,
Uh-huh.
I want to say a part 1 before part 2. Part
Okay.
1, they're Sandfall is doing some narrative swings. They're swinging for the fences. They're doing stuff, right? But also, I feel like not a lot has happened so far in the story, and I'm like 15 hours in. And I know like that you know, I know that things are going to happen at the end of Act 2. I know that the ending of this game is divisive. But as a JRPG, I just feel like where you talk about like, oh, like in a 15 hours at this point of a 30-hour RPG, I feel like normally I would have a lot more to say of like, oh, this happened and this happened
Yeah.
and this happened. In this game, it's like, yeah, like a handful of things have happened since I started. Like nothing, like it's not like nothing crazy hasn't happened, but like just it feels like it just doesn't feel.
Uh, I get what
It
you're
feels
saying.
like, yeah, it feels like that there's been like big events, but like when you talk about like the story at large, it's like, oh yeah, not a lot has really happened yet.
Well, it's part of it is because so much is front loaded, right? Like there are things that happen, and there's things worth talking about in terms of like the story progression, but the base concept of the game, like you're on effectively the main mission right from the get-go, right? Like there are a lot of the other JRPGs where it's like, oh, you start off as like the local town hero or young upstart and you help deal with some local bandits and that ties
Sure,
into you learning about
sure.
this stuff and this stuff and that eventually leads to somehow you're attacking and dethroning God. Like there's an escalation. This game is right off the bat, hey, there is a specific mission we need to accomplish and we are going to go take care of like right now. Here's all the base pitch, here's the problem, here's how we're trying to solve it. And most of the plot through these first two acts is how do we get to the painteress and end this? Like, which what do we like? How do we go accomplish our main mission? And there's going to be some additional changes and stuff to that that you'll see, and there are some plot revelations. But I think a large part of it is because that initial setup is so straight to the point of like that's the bad guy, like that we got to go do that right now. Here's the thing we need to figure out. Um,
That's fair.
because yeah, I agree with you. The pacing is a little weird that way. A lot of the dungeons are like, we have to get through this dungeon to get to the next area, so that we can then get to the next area, so that we can then get the MacGuffin to then go to the next area. Like there's a little bit of that happening with the plot, and there's some things that do happen over the course of that. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like it loads a lot of like character revelations and personality stuff is locked behind like just side things that aren't even entirely progression based. It's doing the camp conversations. It's doing
Hmm.
yeah. It's
Which I
I
want to talk about. I want to talk about that
yeah.
once
There is an
once we're done.
yeah. It is an odd pacing that I will say that the pacing is just kind of odd, and I think for some people it's going to be like a what have we been actually doing this whole time, and other people are like it's fine. Like I've played through this and I'm enjoying what the story is, even if it's delivered at kind of an odd pace.
I am still enjoying it, but I'm also just like not a whole lot has happened. And so it, yeah, and just because this game is so like these games are so cutscene heavy, at this point, she's like, okay, I feel like we need to start getting somewhere in a real way. And I think I think like right where I left off is like where things are gonna start picking up, which is which is good. Yeah. So speaking of the campfire like stuff, yeah. So there are basically like social links in this game, and I really so the first the when you do like the first one with everyone, I was so mad initially. I was so upset because I thought they were going to do the thing where they're like, "Hey, let's have all these like let's like start conversing with this person, and then let's have all this like really this character growth, this character interaction happen off screen."
Mhm.
And then fade back in. It's like, oh, that was a great conversation that we had. I was like,
There are a couple
you
of
know,
those that are pain. Yeah, that does happen a couple times, especially at the very beginning. The fade away.
yes,
They had a really great conversation disclosing this, and it's like, what? Can I see that conversation? That
yeah,
that that
exactly.
absolutely happens the first couple of them, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, and so like I did like the second round for basically everyone, and it stopped doing it, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, thank God. I was like, do not do this. This is like one of the most frustrating things up when games do this, where they're just like, hey, here's this time to see these characters that don't super interact during the main story interact, in some way, and you get these characterizations, you get these interactions, and then you just don't actually get that in a real way.
yeah.
And but yeah, it happened the first time where it like faded away, where it was like, oh, story for a story, and then it's and
Yeah.
then it fades away, and I'm
That
like,
that is the
come
specific one.
on.
Yeah, that is the specific one that I remember being like, well, that's a weird choice. I do wonder if there was a degree of like they wanted to fill out those scenes more, but it was just a balance of like, hey, we're getting all this other stuff done and budget, timeline, whatever. Like it was just like, look, at the end of the day, some of the stuff it, you know, the later conversations absolutely have some really good, interesting things in them that make the payoff worth it. But there are a couple early on ones that,
Yeah,
yeah, are very awkward, just like, yeah, and then they talked about this for 20 minutes. And it's like, cool. I wish I saw that.
yeah, and there is like this. There are to give credit. There are these times where you will go to the campfire and it says like check up on the others, and then there will be like a cinematic cutscene that doesn't really feel like main story, right? But it is like two random characters interacting, talking about something. So like
Yes.
one, like the first one was like Lune and Mael. The other one was the latest one I saw was CL and Mael. Like that's awesome. Like that's
Yeah.
great. I love that.
Yeah. That's where they give a little room
So
to breathe between like the main plot is so focused on just accomplishing the goal, and the campfire is really how they give you those like, oh, now we need time for these two characters just to sit and talk a little bit. And
yeah.
yeah, great moments. Like absolutely, it does mess with the pacing a little bit because it'll be like, oh, I finished the dungeon, time to get through 45 minutes of check in with each
That's
character and then sit at the campfire.
well,
Which I
Persona's like that
yeah,
too.
which I don't mind, but I could see it being a little like just out of nowhere for some people where it's like I gotta talk to this guy now. And sometimes multiple conversations unlock at the same time. So it's like talk to the person, do the scene, and then talk to them again to see if you can do another one. Like
Oh, that hasn't happened for me yet.
yeah,
But
I always double check out of paranoia.
um, what else? I think that's really all I have to talk about Expedition for right now. Again, like I would like to play a little bit more. Like, how many hours do you think I have till the end of Act Two? Would you
Um,
say like 3 or 4, maybe?
yeah, I want to say like 3.5. Some of that depends on if you decide to do some side stuff, but I think if you're just you have like two like standard sized dungeons to do with some big bosses at the end, and then you have like a sizable like this is the end of the act dungeon very obviously and is longer and has a few boss fights. Some of it like that's the thing too. I will tell you, I had a couple boss fights near the end of this act that took me a minute, partially out of my own frustration. But I will say that is one of my mechanical grievances with this game. I wish it had an immediate retry option for fights. Because
Oh, yeah, that's
there's a
annoying.
couple boss ones where it's like I get if you want me to do like the two stages back to back. Like I get if you want to send me back to like first form boss if I died on second form, fine. But like when some of these boss fights are a decent distance away from a checkpoint flag and there's a cutscene and it's like, "Ah, I died. I now need to run up to where the boss is and then pause and skip cutscene." And like, I wish I had the ability to just immediately set me back to the beginning of the fight. Like, let me just, I get it.
Also, one thing that was really annoying is that the latest boss I did, again, this is like, at least so far, it's the one time that the party is split, right?
Yeah.
And the and you basically initiate this boss fight, like you initially initiate it by yourself. Like the character you're playing as is just that character, and then everyone else joins in before the fight starts. They don't let you choose who your party is.
Yeah.
And then they don't let you swap out characters.
Yep.
So unless you die, you cannot change your party, which I thought was really dumb. Very
Yeah.
dumb.
There's a couple little things like that that are definitely frustrating. I think some of those are growing pains, like, first time mistakes. I feel like most of those things, while they bother me, like they're not enough to detract from everything I'm enjoying, but it is still worth being like, hey, that's kind of a headache.
Okay.
Can
Yeah,
we
yeah,
fix
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. It's like it's one of those things. Like I know that I've come across ultimately not ultimately but more so I'm talking about the negatives than the positives.
Sure.
I think this game's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I think this game's great. I just think that like I think that one just the over like whelming discourse of like, oh, this game is fucking phenomenal. This is like game of the year. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying it's out of the conversation for that, but I'm also just like I'm just not as high on it as everyone else, and I do like want to talk about the things that don't work in my opinion,
Sure.
and
Well, and that,
because like, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, that also gets into the space of like what makes something a game of the year, right? Because there are absolutely some situations where I'll play something and I'm like, look, this is flawed, this is broken, this has a lot of things that need fixing. The cool shit still hits me hard enough. I'm sorry, it's game of the year. Like, it's not the most polished game. It's not
Of
like
course, of
there's going
course.
to be those situations where it's like, yeah, it's not perfect, but like the good is that good.
No, of course. That's how I mean that's how I think a lot of people feel about or like how I perceive near fans. Like
Mm.
because like I'm just like this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Like not even like it's not great. It's like no, this
Oh no, there
sucks.
are some very
And
bad
then
aspects to near gameplay design.
and
Like,
then like but then near people are going feral like game of the year, one of the best games ever made. And it's just like I get it because I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan, right? Like Kingdom Hearts definitely falls under that umbrella of like, oh, like
mistakes were
I
made.
don't like well I'm not gonna go that far,
Yeah,
but there are certain games where just in general, right? Not everyone vibes with how Kingdom Hearts tells its story, and I can understand that. Like I can understand like yeah, this is this is not a common way that stories are told in video games. I get that, and not even the sense of like the number of games and the order of like the
right.
timeline of those games and things like that. I'm just talking about like the general like if you play one game and it's like, oh, the way that they present the story and like stuff like that.
Sure.
I can understand that it doesn't hit for you. I think it's peak. I think it's amazing. So I totally get it. And and it also kind of goes hand in hand to like what we were talking about last week, where it's just like, y'all, like I'm happy that y'all love this game. But if you really think this game is this good, you got like a a huge library of games that are like no, in my opinion notably better that you could play if you got over turn-based combat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like and so I just it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of like, hey, let's not, like talk about the things that don't work or that aren't as great to kind of like detract from the overwhelming positives, because like
Sure.
this is definitely one of those things where this does feel like one of those games where uh people talk about this game like it's flawless,
Yeah. Oh,
and
certainly.
that it's just like,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's where I'm just like, guys,
yeah. No, I
let's
mean,
be real here.
yeah, especially when informing other people's like interest in whether or not they'll like it or not, right? Like, I mean, we saw that happen with Blueprints just a few weeks ago, where a lot of early people were like, "This is like mind
One of the
altering,
greatest
one of the greatest
games,
puzzle games ever
yeah.
made," and like it, I absolutely see how it can be that way for folks, and I really enjoy it. Like, I'm super into it. I also absolutely see how it is not for everyone. Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's like the right demo crowd reviewed, talked about, and got excited for it. And like there are a lot of merit and correct points in why it is so good, but that does not mean it is going to be for everyone. And it's hard to
Yeah.
divide that sometimes when there is such universal praise, and then someone picks it up and goes, "Oh, I do not care for this at all," which was a lot
Yeah.
of reactions that happened when Blueprints came out. There were people that I generally liked the opinion of who were like, "Oh, I see why y'all praised this so much, but no,
Not for me.
not for me." Yeah, like it's just not, and that absolutely is something I think is happening a little bit with Clay Obscure as well. Like, I think there's a lot of ground to talk about like everything it does right and how good it is and why it merits a position for potential game of the year. But yeah, you're right. It is important to also highlight like. It's got its issues though, or there are things about it that is not going to be for everyone. Like I'm sure there's going to be
Yeah.
people who love turn-based games that are not going to be about the parry system in this game and are not going to be about how hard some of the boss fights are if you don't learn to get some of your timing down, even if you rely on dodges instead.
Yeah, and I'm still like I mean, I didn't really mention this on the last episode, but like the more I've played the game now, it's like I'm not I don't like I am someone that takes pride in like my in how like good I usually am at parrying
Hmm.
in games. I don't think the parry window in this game is that great. Like I don't think it's bad, but I like it's like like oh, this could be like
Like you
so
think it's
much
too tight,
better.
or
I don't think how do I explain it?
like do you not think the timing is telegraphed well as far as like when you're supposed to press, or?
I don't think no, so like them deciding not to have any sort of visual cue for parrying, like that for me is fine.
Hmm.
I'm not particularly like upset about that. I do think that there is um I think I have come into more instances where like to me like when like if for with a good parry it's like you're anticipating it, right? So like you if you are going to like have some sort of like leniency in the parrying, it would be like before the like hard parry window, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
In this game, it feels more like I get more leniency if I'm late
Mm,
than when I'm early. And I
interesting.
think that that doesn't make sense because I should be hit then if it's on the later end.
Yeah, interesting.
And so I you know and in general I don't know, like it's hard it's not, it shouldn't be like a direct comparison, but like when there's a game like Sekiro and it's just like, oh man, like this is such a good like the prime example, right?
Hmm.
And then you play something like Clair Obscur, it's like like they're like they're almost there. Like it's just a little bit off for me.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that there are some times where I will like I have like mastered the the timing for like this one particular move, and then like I'll do it the first time it's perfect. I'll do it again, and then like for some reason one of those three, like one of the three or four hits, it counts as being hit. I'm just like, but I literally just did the exact same thing last time, and it's just like it just gets it can get frustrating,
Yeah.
and part of it you can argue is just like get good, skate
Yeah.
better, but it's also just like there is a element of just like I just think the parrying window could be better.
Sure.
And I do and kind of everything that I already mentioned, but that is yeah,
Yeah.
that that's kind of like how I feel because I like you, I am like I don't dodge. I parry, and if I don't parry, I die and then I try again.
Yep.
Like
I get a game over and then I go at it one more time. Absolutely. Especially because the AP
uh,
gain is so important to like deal out massive DPS.
yes,
Um,
100%.
yeah.
Um yeah, so those are our thoughts, our updated thoughts on Expedition 33. Um, I assume Kevin will be done by the end of next week, and
Yeah.
then by next week's episode, and then
I'll at
hopefully
least
I'll
be
be
done. Yeah. I'll at
done the
least be done with
following
the
week.
main story. I I'm not sure how immediately I'm going to try and like complete all the side stuff because there is side stuff I want to do as well. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking to be done with the main game at least. Like I want to have credits rolled, which as far as I know, I think I could just like go and try and do that right now. But there are a couple choice optional things I want to do first that I know about. So
Yeah, Mitch who's in our Discord, like he's been like absolutely eating this game up.
oh yeah, he's completely yeah. I like everyone seems to be enjoying it, but he is definitely the most like I am like Expedition 33 pilled right now. Like this is all
Yeah,
I'm thinking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just being like, dude, you like because he knows the grind of like trying to tell people to play shit
Right.
like I do because we're both trail sickos. And so he understands like the thing. So when he tells me like, dude, you gotta do this, I feel obligated to have to do it.
Mhm.
But again, just like where I'm at with the game and just where with the story, and I'm not trying to go down open a huge new can of worms as we're wrapping up what we've been playing, but
Right.
like I I think the setting and like the premise of everything has been really interesting. I'm not super interested in like at this point on like what is existing outside of what's happening in the main story.
Mhm.
That's kind of where I'm at. Cause you know, there are definitely elements of Souls like genre in this game. And some of that stuff is the stuff that I don't give a shit about in Souls likes.
Uh-huh.
And so that's why and like part of that is like exploring the world to like find out more lore. Like admittedly, like
Um, well, I
when
mean,
I cause
a lot of the lore is more character backstory stuff. Like you're learning more, like it because there's like some of the side quests and dungeons are tied to a specific character, and there's a reason
okay.
you're like going there to check stuff. Like it does tie into. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to get a paragraph about the formation of some kingdom 40 years ago. Like it's not that kind of stuff. Um,
Well, cause
I I
well,
think
go ahead.
I think some of what you're thinking about and worrying about right now, finish Act Two is all I'll say.
Okay.
Like I think you need to
Okay.
finish Act Two for I think it's going to alter some of what you're thinking right now. I'm not saying
Okay.
you're going to suddenly love everything, but I think it's going to address some of the stuff that you're currently not sure
Okay.
about.
Yeah, because there's certain things that I haven't even talked to you about like how I like some of the kind of narrative direction that I thought that they were going with initially. Once the expedition begins, that didn't end up going that way, and I would have been like, that would be pretty interesting if that went that way because we don't want to hop into spoilers yet,
Yeah.
or not doing spoiler cast yet. But one of the things that happens in the game, not story wise, but just like collectible wise, is that you find journals from like the old expeditions. And like initially I thought like, oh, this is what I want. This is really cool. Those journals don't do anything for me now. I'm just like, oh, okay. Like you're what it's just like a random like blurb basically is like how it's a journal entry, right?
Yeah.
It's like something that's like supposed to record like something that happened during this time, but it's not something that's like overwhelmingly meaningful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it's I would say none of the individual ones there I mean there's a couple exceptions to this, but I would say none of the individual ones are like extraordinarily poignant in and of themselves, but I do think there is something to the concept of like because it's not like a game where you're finding like 17 journal entries all left by one guy and you're piecing together something. It's like, no, this is just snippets from, everyone that came before you. Just like, here's how this team died. Here's how this team screwed up. Here's how this stuff went wrong for them. Um, I think there's an overarching sense of like putting that all together that feels nice to me. Like I dig it. I can see why it's not necessarily impacting for you, but I can't say that I fizzled out on those the same way.
yeah, it's just I'm just one of those people that, and I think I think I felt this way before Trails, but like I think that I want, when it comes to collectibles, when it comes to those things that give us more like knowledge, I want to learn something meaningful. And I just don't think, a- at least of the ones that I've collected so far, have done that for me, and
Sure.
that makes me upset because of the potential that it could
Right.
have had. If that makes sense, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it could have been this, like it could have been that.
Sure.
Like I would love to. Again, I've only gotten so many. I would love to like just kind of have this like progression of like maybe some journal entries like as time progress where people get less and less like hopeful because they've gone on these, like there's been so many expeditions.
Right.
I would love if there was an expedition where this person's just doing a journal entry being like, this is all pointless, this is all fucked, like this is all
Yeah,
like you
there's
know
a
like
little
and
there's definitely some of that. There's definitely
okay,
some of
okay,
that
okay,
present. 'Cause
okay, okay.
like I think that's one of the big things is how much the journal entries vary. Because there are some people that are just like, because that's the other thing too. I think is interesting is seeing like the motivation and personality because it's each journal entry is voiced over as well. So it's like
Yeah.
there are some expeditions where someone's like, yeah, like we might solve a problem. I'm kind of just having fun killing shit. Like I want to take risks and do something daring, and this is so cool. And then someone else would be like, yeah, man, I just saw everyone die, and I'm just gonna waste away here now. This is my life.
Yeah, I know, like,
there's
and
there's definitely variety
that
that way.
shit's good.
Yeah,
I like that, like, it gives some perspective there, but, um, yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
I got one
uh,
final thing I'll bring up, and I don't want us to
okay,
talk about
okay.
this at length. One final thing. Um,
Yeah.
Please, in games, do not create whole platforming challenges based on a game that is not a
Oh my
platformer.
god.
For the most
Yeah.
part, there are these platforming challenges that are completely optional, and the rewards of them are purely cosmetic, and most of them are fine. They're not like they're not terrible. There's one specific one that had me pulling what little hair I have left out. Like I was just like, no, like I was stubborn and I did it, but I was just like to hell with this particular platforming challenge. And it's just like I don't. And even on the ones that are like fine, and I was able to get through them on my first try, it doesn't add anything to me. Like I don't like this is not a platformer. Why is there a platforming challenge just thrown in the mix? And like if it had like solid good platform mechanics, sure, I guess. But like that is not what this game is about, and it adds nothing to my experience in a positive way putting them in this game. So
Fair.
that's a quick rant
I
on that.
agree with you. I totally agree with
Yeah.
you.
It's like don't like
Um,
either make a great platformer as part of this or don't.
yeah. No, even in the early hours, the simplest platforming stuff, I was just like, "Why is this so hard? Like, why is it like,
The yeah,
just
collision,
grab,
yeah,
just
weird
grab."
collision, having to wait for the like the pull yourself up. It's not great.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're gonna get into the topic of the show for this week. Last week was a bunch of just ranting about discourse. So we thought we'd bring it back to a more fun topic similar to the Mount Rushmore. Hopefully it's not gonna be we don't have to do any sort of like collective decision making here.
Yeah,
So it shouldn't go remotely as long, but I thought of the idea that we each draft our ultimate JRPG party. We each
which
get
you pulled the
six.
rug out from under me right before we recorded, changing the rules.
And here's the thing. I'll explain why I added another slot after we're done because yeah yeah I had to. It was selfish. It's a selfish reason, but I had to for my own sake. So
I am
because
curious.
I don't think we're going to really steal any of our potential picks.
Probably not.
So
I feel like we're gonna pick completely
this
different
is more
people.
just like, yeah, I think this is
I-
more of a feel out type
I'm
situation.
also very curious if we even used remotely the same logic and why we picked who we picked. Like I feel like we might be doing
I'm
entirely
literally,
different.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So how
I'm literally picking like my favorite characters. Like
Oh yeah,
I'm
no,
not.
that is not at all. I mean, that's a part of it. That's one of the things I weighed, but there a lot more went into mine than just that. You don't know what you did to me making this the topic at like 9 p.m. last night, or whatever time it
Oh
was, because I
no.
immediately made like a notepad with cross references. I made a whole list of potential picks.
You did the
I did
conspiracy
math.
board.
I did
You did the
math
conspiracy
to
board.
like figure this out, and then I had to change it. I'm still figuring out my sixth pick right now because I was told five, and that fucks up all the balance I
You
had in my mind.
proposed five, and I was just like, sounds good. And then I was thinking last
I
night,
will pull up the receipts. You said pick five. That was not
did
my
I?
pitch.
Did I? Did I?
That was you. My only thing was, hey, are we allowed to pick doubles from the same game or not? Because I feel like not is interesting. That was like my one. That was my thing. Was no
I
doubles.
did. I did. Okay, yeah. So I said, let's draft our ultimate JRPG party. We each get 5 picks. Okay, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, Kevin, because you're so ready for this, what's your first pick?
I'm gonna get the obvious one out of the way. Okay, first off, let me talk my logic here because I did not do just favorites. Favorites
Okay,
is a part
cool.
of this, but I went on a whole thing in my own head of like, well, I need to have a balanced and interesting party. I need to have like I gotta have a tanky person, I gotta have a healer, I gotta have a mage, I gotta have whatever, and I need to have variety of tropes too. I can't just have like five old men who are the serious mentor type. It was very hard for me to not include Orin on this setup. Orin was very close so many times and did not make
Ooh,
it. It was very tough.
Orin.
Orin was a hard one for me to not take.
And so some ground rules.
Yeah.
We cannot pick from the same game twice.
Yes. Not we can pick from the same franchise, but not the same like specific game. You can't be just like, here are my three favorite
Correct.
characters from whatever. Yeah. Um
Correct.
yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, I'm the only one that's going to pick from Trails, but even then, like, and Trails is kind of cheating because characters show up
I
all the time.
yeah, I feel like you have to do that
But
by arc,
I
right?
only
Like
did
one
one
person
Trails
from
character,
okay.
so we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, and I didn't make this clear, and I hope this doesn't screw things up. No villains.
Oh, sure. I only
They're
thought in
they're,
terms
they're
of party members. Yeah.
yeah, they're only like yeah,
Yeah.
no villains, no antagonists,
Nope,
that type of
I
thing.
only pick party members. So, anyways, I tried making a balanced party, both in terms of like character design, aesthetic, and like their role in the party. And I'm still lightly adjusting this as we speak because of this damn sixth slot you added.
Sorry.
But my first pick, I'll say the easy one. I gotta
Yeah.
have a mage. I gotta have a
Yeah.
caster. There are a couple that got very close. You know, I really thought about like Terra from FF6. I thought about Nina from Breath of Fire. Any of them, it's a different Nina every time, but she always fulfills like the same general role. But who am I kidding? I had to pick Vivi. I
Yeah.
had to pick the
Yeah.
Black Mage because, like,
Yeah.
not only does he fulfill the role of being just like my dedicated offensive caster, I gotta have a weird little guy. You have to have one weird little guy in the party, and Vivi just knocks that out of the park right away. I mean, he's not silly, but he's a weird little guy. You know, you can't see his face, glowing yellow eyes, great stuff. Yeah, that was my one immediate like. I'm probably putting him in here. There are a couple mages I almost put instead, but yeah, Vivi gotta go as my first pick.
All right. My first pick, also super obvious. It's Riku. What? Come on now. He's a Keyblade master. Yeah, he can't summon Disney heroes or anything like that, but he's my guy. He's my goat. Uh, and he can heal. He can heal. He can use dark magic. Um, you know, shout out to Riku. Kevin, who's your number two?
Damn, I did a whole thing. Okay, my number two.
Well, mine. See, yeah, no,
Yeah,
mine is like again. There will be some explanations for some of them,
yeah.
but most of them are going to be like, oh yeah, I love
Sure.
this character,
Yeah.
and
Okay, here's one that I don't think you ever would have expected me going with, just because I think you're not
cool.
really familiar with the source material, and this is a bit of an out of nowhere pick. But um, look, I gotta have someone who is like the frontliner, sword and shield, maybe just a good combatant all around. Uh, and if there's one trope I love that I did talk about in our Q&A, I realized I didn't mention the trope because, one of the tropes I talked about loving is like the old man mentor party member, but another one I like is the woman knight. Like give me the fully heavy armored out
Ooh.
and
Are you? Oh. Can I guess? Can I guess?
you're probably sure, guess.
I gotta figure out her name. I know what game she's from. I just gotta figure out her name really quick because I forgot.
I feel like
Um, hold on. Oh, just give me 1 second here. I because you said it the reason why I think I know is because you said that you don't think I'm gonna know it.
Uh-huh.
So now I have
Now
an
you're
idea.
like, I gotta go with this.
Is it Kasara?
No,
Damn it.
not Kisara.
Okay.
Which, because very random side note, I do like Kisara a lot, but she also bothered the hell out of me because I do not
Really?
understand what happened in the design process where they were like, hey, we're gonna have this heavily armored woman knight with a completely uncovered backside so you can make sure you see that booty. Like the weirdest design thing where they were just like, look, we're gonna give her a gigantic ass and we have to make sure she has no
We
armor
need
on
the
the
fan
back.
service.
It was so like I was so bothered by that design choice. So that is not why she made the cut there. No, I'm going with the main character of Valkyrie profile, Lenneth.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I got my
Dope.
lead Valkyrie. You know, the good sword and shield up front, can also use a bow, just like the general combat expert, heavily armored, awesome stuff. And if I want to cheat, she can just summon all the other character, all the unharrier she's collected.
My number 2 is Tifa.
That was one I fought back and forth on a lot, including.
I I and let me say, this is the one pick that I thought that it would be like who gets to her first,
And to be honest,
which is
if
why she's my number 2.
if we're saying we can't both pick from the same characters, then you've made this at least a little easier on me because that was one I was going back and forth on actively right now
Yeah.
because of the
No,
stakes.
Tifa is ultimate girl. Gotta get her when I can. Um, what else is there to say that it's Tifa? So,
Yep.
yep.
Um. See, I'm messing with my list now, and it's getting all over the place. Okay. I
Oh
feel like
wait,
I'm.
so something I just realized.
Oh no.
Technically, with drafts, we should be going back to back.
Yeah. Isn't that what we're doing?
Okay. No, like it's like I get 2 picks, you get 2
Oh, I
picks.
don't.
So like
Let's just
one
do
person
one.
start. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine just
Okay.
doing back and forth. I don't think we need to. I think Tifa was the one point of contention. I don't think anyone else on my list is someone you're gonna pick. So I'm
I
not
don't
that
think so
stressed about
either.
that balance.
Actually, there might be one. There might be one, but I think it's if you're picking if you're picking them, it's it, I think you're picking them based off of like how you're deciding how you're figuring out your party, I guess if that makes sense.
Right.
I think that there's a chance you might pick this character.
Interesting. Um. Yeah, it's tough. I'm going back and forth a little bit right now on a couple picks that as soon as I submit someone else in, it's going to uh, narrow down a little bit more who I might pick for my sixth slot. Because I also feel bad about how many Final Fantasy characters I'm picking here. Like half my current potential final list is Final Fantasy. Different games, no double downing on the same one, but there's a good run of them. All right, next pick. I'll get another Final Fantasy one out of the way because I feel like I just got to include them. This is another favorite, personal favorite, and also I think fulfills an interesting party role design wise. So far I've got kind of an all rounder tanky character and a mage. Now we just need like a physical damage dealer, which I gotta go with one of my all time favorites, Red 13. Uh, as you know, just like lion, wolf dog, red guy with a tail on fire. Someone tapped into my like 12-year-old brain and went, "You'll think this is cool," and they were right. I thought this was cool. Red 13 has always been one of my like favorite designs. Uh, and just having this kind of like I always love party members that are something a little off kilter. Like I want something a little different. I can't just have all humans or whatever. And Red 13 was definitely one of like the first influences for that. I also just tend to love fire elemental stuff, and so like even though there's nothing forcing him to play that way, the fire tail and design and stuff just really speaks to that. Uh, yeah, Red 13 is going to be another of my Final Fantasy picks. And I'm going to try and not pick any more, but there's one other character that might make it in, depending on what I figure out and in the next however long you answer your picks.
Yeah, my next one's Olivier. Gotta have that traveling bard, that entertaining, nonsensical hoodlum,
Mm-hmm.
and who's, Well, I'm not gonna say that. That was actually gonna be a major spoiler.
Which I haven't killed him
Um,
yet. Like I'm
yeah,
trying to
I was
make
about
that
to
happen this
major
year.
spoiler something about Olivier. Really glad I didn't. And yeah, he has the ordnance system, so he has a variety of different magics. He has a gun, which is cool, and he can also heal. So, well, I mean, he has, of course, the ability to heal through like ordnance, but he also has crafts that allow him to heal. So, yeah, gotta go with my goat Olivier.
Nice, nice.
All right, here's your number 4.
I'm gonna do another one. I don't think you. I don't know. Did you play Vesperia?
Yeah.
Okay. Raven. Similar reasons for you picking Olivier. Raven checks off a couple boxes. I think, I like having a comedic character a little bit. Someone that can like break the ice a little, not in like an overly silly, like, oh, that's the character we're all making fun of kind of way, but they're just the one cracking jokes. And he fulfills the role of being like the older, slightly mentory party member, not in the way that is maybe more responsible like Orin, but he's checking off that box for me, and he's bringing a little bit of kind of what you were saying for Olivier with Bard. Like he's this kind of neat jack of all trades character. Archer, melee abilities, can do some offensive magic, can do some healing. Like he's just kind of that like, what do I need a little bit of extra right now? Cool. Here's the person bringing a bit of everything to the table. Uh, yeah. So that's my what is it? My fourth pick. We're getting close here.
That is your fourth pick.
Oh no.
Correct.
Oh no, 6.
My fourth pick is Totodile. What? I can't have a Pokemon as a party member?
I mean, yes, it's a party member. I can't. It's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not going to tell you you can't do this, and I'm not going to say that it's wrong, but also, damn it.
Why? Listen, I love Totodile. Like that's
Yeah,
that's a part of my thing. And like, yeah, I want like Totodile to be on my shoulder as we're traveling around the world, and like, I mean, it's different. I like it's a little bit different because like, I command him to do things.
sure.
I can't do that with the other party members, but um yeah, I no we didn't say no
Yeah,
Pokemon.
that is true. This is true.
So, yeah, I'm going with my my ride or die Totodile.
All right. No
All right, you
evolution. Just keep him as a weird little guy for the party. Just a
yeah,
happy
yes,
little
a happy
dude.
little guy, a happy little
He
guy.
is so happy. Um. Okay, number 5. I don't have a healer yet, or at least like a traditionally dedicated one, because like whatever, Red 13 can do whatever. Um, I always like the trope of a healer that's also like able to actually hit shit. Like I don't like the pure mage healer. Like if you want to do like
Sure.
the overall master of magic kind of
You
approach,
want a
that's cool.
cleric.
Yeah, but like a D&D style cleric where it's like you're actually also hitting
Yeah,
things. And I also actually really like the aesthetic of tying that a little bit into like martial arts. So this is kind of an off pick that isn't exactly this, but it works for me. The
okay,
main character of Suikoden 2, Rio. So
okay,
you haven't played it, so let me describe real quick. Somewhat cliche, younger lead male hero, main character. Tonfas for his weapon. So we have a martial arts mix in there.
yes.
And
Lloyd Bannings type shit,
yeah,
yeah.
and in Suikoden, the way magic works is you equip runes, but some characters have like special runes that can't be removed. And in his case, you get one for plot reasons called the Bright Shield rune. And like he's just the best healer in the game. Like the whole time. Like there's other characters that can learn healing spells that are useful, but it's like it's very hard to counterbalance just how good the heal spells are from Bright Shield right out the gate. Even though he's the main character and can also be dishing out some damage, and you can equip him with some good like damage stuff, he ends up kind of being like the best party healer consistently through the whole thing. Yeah, and so I just I got my martial artist frontliner that's also gonna just make sure the whole party's topped up when need be.
Okay. So this is the part that's hard because I was thinking about this character and like now I'm having second doubts
Is this
because
why
now
we're
you're
at 6? Oh no, this is your fifth pick. This is your fifth pick.
No, so I realized as this was going on that I think I actually had only 4 in mind, not 5. Yeah, yeah. Guys, I've been having a really rough day. Like
I
a
mean,
really rough 24
I have
hours.
so far not changed my list, so like, if you want to do 5, we can just end it there, or we can talk about a sixth. Either way, I'm prepared for either at this point.
Mm, we can stick with 6. We'll stick with 6. But but I'm trying to think of like, oh, like who else would I pick? And it's just like, it's especially because of like the one per game, right?
Sure.
Like, and I'm not trying to do multiple Trails characters
Yeah.
because that would just be it would be too easy.
Yeah.
It'd be
Oh,
too easy at
again,
that
I mean,
point.
yeah, I feel there's a very strong chance my six is going to be another Final Fantasy, and it's a different game. But I definitely feel like if I had more time with this list, I probably would have a little less FF representation. But here we are.
Yeah. I'm gonna go for right now. I'm gonna go with Elena from Dragon Quest IV
Okay.
because I love her personality. I love how she's just a princess that throws hands.
Just
And
got
I'm just imagining Tifa and Elena teaming up and beating the shit out of things. And I love that idea. I just love that idea. So,
nice, nice. I did actually. I didn't end up making the cut, but I did almost pick someone from Dragon Quest. I almost picked Angelo from 8 because
mm.
like when I was thinking of like my healer, I was like, oh, Angelo's kind of interesting because like he's also rocking a bow and arrow. He's he's also the team comedy, but I think him and Raven were like a little too overall
So
conceptually close that I dropped him. But
I thought there was a chance you'd pick Elena because I picked Tifa and you were like, oh, you know, who's
Hmm.
another girl that throws hands? You know?
Jade was actually my backup on that. I almost picked
Oh,
Jade.
okay.
Jade was another
Okay.
character I considered, which also Dragon Quest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair.
yeah. Which I mean, Jade
Jade's
is
from 11, correct?
yeah, Jade is effectively Dragon Quest Tifa and can also use pole arms and claws instead of bare fists if you want.
Yeah. All right. Who's your last one?
This is tough. This is tough. I went back and forth. There were a couple people I considered last second. I was thinking maybe Garl for a little bit, get like a character who just uses a shield and brings a little like,
Carl is
optimism
oh,
and
I do actually okay, here's the thing. I did have a fifth. I know who it was and I forgot it, but now I remember, so I'm glad we stuck with 6.
all right.
You're gonna
It's good.
I think you'll be proud of me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I thought about Garl, but I think looking at the rest of my party comp and something I think's missing and I think would be interesting. We were actually talking about this earlier. I like blue mages. I like characters that have this like weird
Mm.
concept of taking enemy moves and using it themselves. And so to help round out, even though I'm really dipping into Final Fantasy a lot here, more than I initially wanted to, Quistis from 8. Uh, Interesting different weapon type with the whip. You're absorbing enemy parts to like do interesting special moves that
Mm.
like no other character can learn. Uh, yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
also looking at the rest of my party. I'm like, I got a lot of like weird guys and dudes. I gotta balance out. We need to get another woman in this party, which it came down to Jade and Quistis, and I think we'll go with Quistis because the blue
So
magic.
I'm so glad you said that because the reason why I wanted a 6th slot initially was because I was like, I can't just have one chick in this party. I need more than one chick. I can't just have Tifa. I need someone else.
Yeah.
I need more representation here. Um, but my last party member is Robo.
Hey,
Yeah,
Robo's
I'm
a good
picking
pick.
Robo
I had a couple
from
robots I
Chrono
thought about
Trigger.
too. I was like, Robo, Cube. I guess like I kind of wanted an android or robot character. I ended up not going that way,
I
but
think Totodile and Robo would be best friends.
probably.
They'd be so cool together.
I mean, Totodile can just like gnaw on him and it's fine because like metal.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he would just like dance, and then like Robo would just be like chilling, and like I don't know, Robo would be like the party's chef for us. Like I think that you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So just imagining him in his chef outfit, and then Totodile's like helping, like filling up the pot with some water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think
do you want to reread down? Oh wait, are you're gonna change?
no. I'm just like, oh man, like this. Like I feel like if we ran this back, like however many months later, and like
Maybe
codified
be a
it,
different list.
maybe. Like it's like there's just so many picks, especially the way my brain works, where I'm trying to like find some sense of balance across it. Like,
So I was thinking, I was thinking maybe put like having Marl, but
mm,
like I like Marl for what like the story and like what happens and how she interacts in that story.
right.
While Robo, I just like because
Robo's
Robo's
just a cool
cool.
guy. Robo's a cool
Huh.
guy. Yeah,
I'm
I like
surprised you didn't pick Frog.
that dude. I went back and forth on that so much. I
That's
went back and forth on
I'm
that so much.
shocked.
No, that's what I was gonna say.
Shocked.
Like one of the biggest problems I ran into is how many characters I love who are like dudes with big swords. like, like I was like Frog, Orin, Cloud.
Is
Like just
Masamune a big sword?
it's a two-hander. Yeah,
Is it really?
yeah. I mean, keep in mind he's also like 3'6".
Yeah, but like I feel like in any art that we see or like in his
It's
like when he has a sword out, he's only using one hand.
I mean, his attack animations are definitely him doing like double, like two-hand holding. And
Okay.
like when they do the anime cutscene, he pulls it out one-handed, but then he uses two hands to like swipe it down. I mean, it's one of those like if we're doing D&D rules, it's versatile, okay? But he uses it two-handed.
Oh, okay, okay. It's a
Um,
long sword. It's a
yeah,
long
it's a
sword.
long sword. Yeah. Yeah. No, there were so many I went back and forth on this list. Like I have a whole like notepad where I was just like, all right, here's a bunch of franchises and here's characters from them that I love, and like so many that got left out while thinking about this. Um, yeah, I almost want to run this back some time just to like see where we're at that time around. But I'm pretty happy with my choice. So like, yeah, quick run over of what I'm at right now for this version of the list. Lenneth, Vivi, Raven, Red 13, Rio, and Quistis.
A lot of R's there. You have 3 R's.
We got 3 R's.
Yeah. And then I got Riku, Tifa, Olivier, Totodile, Elena, and Robo.
A lot of punching.
A lot of
I don't know
punching.
what Olivier uses, but that's
A
three
gun.
punchers at least. Okay.
He has a pistol. Yeah. He has a pistol, and then he has basically better materia.
Right. Yeah.
So, um, and because like, so yeah, Riku's got the Keyblade, gun, orbments,
Yeah.
punchy materia, water, water and ice,
Squirt
and
gun.
big
Yeah.
jaw, big
Yeah. Yeah.
jaw.
Big job. Yeah. Bite and squirt gun. Those are your weapons.
Yeah, um, punchy punch and a lot of stuff. Robo's got a lot of stuff. He's
True.
got
Yes.
punching. He's got
Missiles and lasers. And
missiles, lasers, beams.
he can affect you proximity, close wise. Yeah.
Now here's the thing,
Robot.
because Robo's in my party, do I get team up attacks with him
I
with
mean,
the other party members?
I feel like that's just a general like if you want that mechanic, sure.
Like I want a team up attack with Totodile where he just like literally just throws Totodile and he just
Uh
gnaws at some enemy.
yeah, I mean that's essentially one of Robo's with Ayla, I think is basically that. He chucks
Oh
steel at
yeah, yeah,
someone and
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What's the tech? Is it are they called techs, right?
In Chrono
In
Trigger?
in Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, it's text, double text, and triple text. Dual
Dual text.
text,
Yeah,
yeah.
dual text. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that would be really funny. Um, but yeah, that would be that's my team. Don't particularly like have any. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say.
Oh,
I don't want any spoilers. But yeah, yeah,
spoilers
yeah,
about a character you like or what? Oh, is there like a
yeah, yeah,
character
yeah,
that
yeah,
like
yeah,
you wouldn't
yeah.
expect to be a party member and they turn out to be one because of like
No, it's more so that I don't have like someone who's like particularly like super smart on the team,
mm,
but like Robo is like a robot, so like how do you Robo's like how smart is Robo compared to like an average JRPG party member, if that makes sense, you
true.
know? Because
Yeah, yeah.
like Robo's not like Luca smart, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely
yeah,
a yeah, I think like I think we revisit this concept someday. I mean, obviously, no time soon because we just did this on this one. But I would be so down, like however many months or a year from now to just be like, all right, let's do this draft again. Here are the exact rules, and go to it.
Yeah. No, that was a
I'm
fun
happy with this
little
lineup. I'm happy with this lineup.
yeah. That was a fun little thing to do for sure. Let us know in the comments which JRPG party you like more. Because I also think this is a great representation of like the 6 years apart that we have in
Oh,
like
sure. Well,
time.
and how many? Like, I mean, I literally picked one character from each of the PS1 Final Fantasies.
Yeah.
I have a 7, 8, and 9 rep, which again, like, I go back and forth on Quistis, but like, I was like Red 13 and Vivi. Like, I got to get my boys.
Yeah, no, and all of not all, but like half of my party at the very least, right? So I'm trying to think. Yeah, half my party at the very least are like late 90s, early 2000 characters, which is
Right.
like yeah, where I get a lot of love from my side of the JRPG stuff. So yeah. Oh, also no, still got one more episode. I was gonna say like next week I'll have a new tattoo to show off, but
Ah, a little more time.
that'll be two more episodes. So, um, but yeah,
Special
I got a
bonus
cool
for the video viewers.
yeah, I got a cool Pokemon themed tattoo coming. I'm pretty sure I've already said that, right? It's Pokemon themed.
Yes, you did. You did say that.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. How that turns out. It'll turn out good, trust me. But yeah, so thanks everybody for listening this week. Kevin, do you have anything you want to say before we hop out of here?
There's so many cool characters out there, man. So
There
many.
really are. There really are.
That's it. That's all I got.
Um, but yeah, last reminder, we will have some cool stuff coming up over this weekend for PAX East, assuming that this audio equipment that I ordered like 3 days ago actually gets here on time. Amazon, like Mr. Free 2 day shipping. Where is it? Where is it? But anyway, I'm Cameron. That's Kevin, and we'll catch you later.
Later.